It is an enormous undertaking if these cobble features are connected in time. Emma Culligan just found a hidden chamber deep in the money pit, and it's filled with things no one has ever seen before. People used to think the swamp was a dead end, but Emma went there and turned the whole Oak Island story upside down. Could this be the proof treasure hunters have been chasing for over 200 years? Let's expose what Emma discovered that made the president of the US shut down the entire island. The road under the swamp. You know how some folks thought the swamp was just nature doing its thing? Well, think again. Emma pulled out evidence that someone way back in the 1600s may have made it look that way on purpose. She spotted lines in the dirt straight as rulers, full of wooden stakes lined up like they had a job to do, not just random junk. They were put there with a plan in mind. That's not the kind of thing that just happens. Someone was working hard to keep something hidden. Before we dig deeper, it's clear that those wooden stakes were only the beginning, and what lies beneath them is far more shocking than anyone ever thought possible. And the path yet, that rocky trail winding through the muck, it's not just some jumbled mess of stones. It's neat, like someone laid it stone by stone leading somewhere. When Emma showed the others the sharp wooden stakes stuck deep in the mud, still clean like they were placed yesterday, everyone leaned in. He believed that there was something here to find, so let's get out of the machine. Let's position it. This wasn't just a trail. It was a road, a hidden road. A road that goes exactly where they never thought to look. Then she pulled out maps, not your regular tourist maps, but ones that lined up with what Fred Nolan once scribbled decades ago. And what do you know? The markers matched Fred's old hunches. The ones people called wild guesses suddenly looked a lot smarter. His stake lines pointed right to the cobblestone path Emma just exposed. Coincidence? Doesn't look like it. The deeper they dug, the more pieces started to fall into place. Slate bricks, sharp corners, pieces that fit together like part of something bigger, maybe even a vault. Not the imaginary kind either. A real one, made by someone who knew what they were doing, built strong, built to last. And maybe, just maybe, built to hide something worth guarding. Emma's not done. She called in experts like Dr. Spooner to check the shape and size of these stones. He took one look and nodded, said this wasn't nature's doing. This was human work. It had edges and corners and lines that made too much sense. When you see something that neat, that carefully put together, it's not by accident. And the dates. Everything they pulled out tested back to between 1680 and 1750. That's long before any modern treasure hunter poked around. Before anyone thought to dig, this stuff has been sitting there, silent, just waiting for someone to listen. This incredibly complex mystery, and it becomes more complex by the day. And Emma, she listened. She saw the signs others missed. Now they're tracing the path, following it west and north toward what they call the eye, toward another wooden platform Emma uncovered just months ago. These things aren't miles apart. They're all connected, like dots on a giant map. The deeper they dig, the more the story spreads out like threads weaving through the whole island. Suddenly, this isn't just about the money pit. It's about the swamp, Lot 5, even the stone road. It's like someone played a giant game of hide and seek centuries ago, and now the team's finally catching up. Emma's discovery isn't a side note. It's the center of a web, with every new find pointing in one direction. Something's buried, and it's not where they thought. The really wild part. These cobblestones lead to that same brick and slate chamber found earlier, the one that looked empty at first glance. But what if it wasn't? What if it just looked empty? What if it was a decoy to throw people off the scent while the real treasure waited farther down the line? Emma thinks there's more than just one vault. Maybe two. Maybe more, all tied together by this stone path. Each place to keep whatever they were hiding, spread out but protected. You don't build paths like this unless you're serious about keeping things safe. Now the team's zooming in on the digital map Emma helped create. It shows every stake, every stone, every odd bump in the ground that doesn't belong, and it lines up almost too perfectly, like someone planned it with tools and time and purpose. They didn't just drop treasure in a hole. They built a whole network around it. Even the experts are starting to talk about it like it's more than just a wild tale. The theory about the Duke d'Amble expedition still floating around. Some folks now think this operation might have had some serious backing, maybe even royal, the kind of thing that needed hiding on an island far from home. So I want Dr. Spooner to come, whether or not it is a man-made structure. Every new stake Emma pulls out, every stone she uncovers adds to the story. It's not just a dig anymore. It's like decoding a giant message left behind by people who really didn't want it to be found. And the more you look, the more it makes sense. This isn't random. This is a plan unfolding. Emma's finding the bones of something big, something old, something that could flip the Oak Island question into something way more real. She's not chasing shadows. She's chasing facts buried in mud and stone and time. But just when Emma was making big moves, the story jumps back to where the digging first started and the oldest clues began to show up. 200 years of chasing hopes. Oak Island sounds like one of those places where people keep chasing old ghost stories and calling it history. It sits right off Nova Scotia, and for more than 200 years, folks have been digging up this chunk of land thinking they'll find something big. Every few years, someone finds a weird rock or rusty tool, and suddenly it's front-page news. But let's be real for a second. If anything was there, would it really still be sitting underground after all this time? Back in 1795, a few young guys noticed a dent in the ground under a tree. There was a wooden block hanging from a branch, and they thought it looked like someone had been trying to pull something up or bury it. They started digging and found wood planks stacked every 10 feet. That was all it took. People got obsessed with the idea that treasure was down there. That hole got called the Money Pit, and it's been swallowing cash and dreams ever since. In 1804, someone found a stone slab about 90 feet down. The thing had strange symbols on it, and some people think it says there's treasure 40 feet below. Others say the whole thing was made up to keep the digging going. Honestly, the fact that no one can even find the slab anymore doesn't exactly scream proof. It's just one of those stories that keeps hanging around because people want it to be true. Then in 1849, some guys drilled into the pit and said they pulled up part of a gold chain. Sounds amazing, right? Except nobody ever saw it again. The chain went missing, and now all we've got is some old story with no real proof. That kind of thing happens a lot on Oak Island. People find something, tell everyone, and then oops, it's gone. Fast forward to 1897, and someone finds a little piece of paper way down in the pit. It had 2 letters on it, maybe by or Y. That tiny scrap was enough to get people saying there were ancient scrolls or hidden documents buried on the island. Seriously, a torn-up bit of paper turns into some huge theory about lost knowledge. It's a stretch. Jump to 1967, and someone digs up a pair of old scissors. Experts said they look Spanish and might be from Mexico, maybe 300 years old. That's cool and all, but scissors don't exactly scream treasure. For all we know, someone dropped them while fishing a few hundred years ago. In 1970, folks digging at Smith's Cove found some weird wooden structure under the beach. It was shaped like a big U and put together with pegs, not nails. That made people think it was super old and probably part of some trap or tunnel system. Thing is, there's no solid clue what it really did. It could be a drain, it could be nothing, but people love to imagine the wildest option. Then comes 2016 and boom, a lead cross turns up. People lost their minds. It kind of looked like something the Knights Templar might have had. That was all it took to get the Templar theories rolling again. Treasure hunters started saying maybe the Templars brought treasure to Oak Island and hid it there. Sure, it could be true, but finding one cross isn't exactly a smoking gun. In 2017, there was a fancy old keyhole plate found. It looked like it came out of the Middle Ages. It added fuel to the whole pre-colonial ancient Europeans on Oak Island fire. But again, one piece of metal doesn't mean someone was burying treasure. People just want to believe it's part of some big hidden plan. A year later, in 2018, a gold brooch with a gemstone popped up. People dated it to the 16 or 1700s. That's pretty wild and could be something valuable, but it also might have been lost by some unlucky traveler or shipwreck survivor. It doesn't have to mean there's a whole treasure chest waiting under the island. By 2019, yet another piece of paper showed up, this time near the Money Pit. It looked fancy, like high-quality parchment, and just like that, more talk started about important papers being buried. But come on, how many scraps of paper have we seen now? No full documents, no clear messages, just enough to keep the dig going. Every time something shows up, even if it's tiny or boring, it sparks a whole new wave of stories. People jump from here's a rusty nail to there must be a whole shipwreck filled with gold, but most of the evidence doesn't hold up. The cool finds could have come from travelers, pirates, or even farmers. Oak Island has been around a long time. A lot can happen in hundreds of years. And yet the hunt keeps going. New teams, more digging, high-tech tools, and way more money. People pour in, dreaming of being the one who finally cracks the code. But every dig leads to more questions than answers. The truth is Oak Island has become more of a show than a search. The real treasure might be all the attention and cash it brings in from fans and sponsors. Is there anything under Oak Island? Maybe, but every time people get close, something breaks, floods, or gets lost. It's almost like the island itself doesn't want to give up its answers, or maybe it never had any to begin with. After more than 200 years of digging, wouldn't something big have been pulled out by now? Still, people keep coming back.